Brand is not just a logo, it's not a color. Brand is a memory.
You were part of the team that made Big Billion Day possible for the first time at Flipkart. You built everything from scratch there. So what is the difference between someone who's working in the product team as a product designer or someone who's working in the brand team?
In simple words, I would say like product is how you transact, how you touch and feel the product. That's how you get the task done. And brand is the reason why you would come back to it.
So what is something unique that someone can do to grab attention?
When everyone is trying to be unique, nothing is unique. Your actual value is the taste that you have.
Correct. How did you react to AI coming in?
AI can help me generate assets, but I'm the one who's actually taking the final call.
For young designers coming into the industry, how should they go about understanding and learning about the industry? Hello Munz, hi, welcome to the podcast. Thanks a lot for coming all the way. And I really wanted to talk to you about something really interesting, something really misunderstood in our sector. Brand design as a whole, right? You have been at the center of during the last decade or so. You were part of a lot of interesting times. You were part of the team that made Big Billion Day possible for the first time at Flipkart. You worked with world-renowned companies like Gojek, and also you have been the central co-part of the entire Dunzo brand team, right? You built everything from scratch there. I can't wait to dive into that sector. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
So as you know, we have been set out to do something really interesting. So at Masters Union, we have been known to do a lot of business courses, but now we are stepping up into design, and we are launching a first product design course. It'll be focused primarily on product design, but I genuinely feel after all my experience and time in the industry that brand and product cannot work in silos. What I want to start with is your journey. If you can let the students know that how you stepped into the industry and what challenges that you faced, and how did you build such a rockstar team at Dunzo, and in such a short span, I think you did. You were everywhere. So how did that virality came?
Oh, thanks. So the design was very accidental for me. I never thought about taking design as like my thing. I started my career as a photographer, and I moved to Bangalore looking for jobs in photography, and I got into an agency also. There, very rarely I used to get like any photography gig. So I was usually chilling with designers and
Designers were your friends.
Yeah. So I think there was, and it was an agency. This is 2010 times. And and one day designer had like a lot of work, and he's like, can you help me out? And I said, the only thing I know is like color correcting the photo and maybe adding my logo into the photograph. That's the only thing I knew. It's like, that's all you need to know. And that's how I started my journey. Then later I realized that I enjoy design more than the photography. And that's how I started. And there was no plan. So I don't have like a design degree or anything like that. But I started enjoying it, and that started reflecting on my work.
It's amazing. So also like your time in Dunzo, where you eventually went on to lead the brand team.
Yeah.
So how was that experience? And I'm sure that having founders with support brand and which understands the criticality is really a blessing.
Yeah.
Right. So how was that journey?
Oh, that was absolutely, that was like 6.5 years of the best days of my life.
Wow.
Not just at work, but generally in life. Because we spend most of the time in office, like Monday to Friday, like morning till evening, you're there in office. So if you're really happy there, I feel like I'm happy generally with life also. So that was blast of a time. And that happened only because we had a leadership which truly believed in us, and they never asked us to do anything. They were like, you figure it out. It's your team, it's your company,
Yeah.
so you figure it out. So when you get that kind of a freedom, that gives us a certain responsibility to us. Till that point, I always been in a situation where I had at least some kind of a direction. They will tell us, okay, this is what we want to do, this is what we want to achieve, so you figure it out, right? Here it was all on us, so we had to figure out everything from the scratch, and that actually gave us a space where we can think however we want to. So the first thing we have done there is clubbing multiple teams together and just making sure that brief and the approval and everything happens in just one team, so that there is no ego as such.
Yes.
What we have done is that creative team, brand team, and marketing team, so we clubbed everything together into branding.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that was the right thing to do. As
Absolutely, and that made like a huge difference, the way we work, because the brief also comes from the same team. Brief is not coming from a place, we are figuring it out,
Exactly.
the brief together, right?
In design, the brief gets built while you are experimenting.
Absolutely. And focus group is basically the team itself,
Yeah.
because we have like such a diverse team, and we kind of get like a small piece of India there itself.
Yes.
Right? We have youngsters, old folks, like people from the marketing. So everyone attacks the brief together. So in that discussion itself, we understand, okay, this works, this doesn't work, and everything. Then we don't go for approval, we go for discussion.
Yeah.
Right? And we fight inside the team itself to get the idea out there, but it is not coming from a place where there's a lot of ego and whose idea is getting selected, who's actually taking calling the shots, nothing like that. And also the freedom to do whatever we wanted to do, the setting up the structure of the team to how we want to communicate with our users, everything was possible.
So I think even with the coming of AI, I think a lot of lines are blurring, right, between roles.
Absolutely.
So as you mentioned, that really helped, and you already saw this, and you already built a system that could scale to that level. So for our audiences which are might not be from design background, I wanted to understand, how does a day in the life of a creative director, or maybe say creative brand strategist, or head of brand, how does that day look?
So currently I'm working with FirstClub. So there things are slightly different, because creative director, always that term, right, the creative director, always been little vague for me, right? I always consider myself as like a curator. Right? I curate things, my creativity is basically my people, the people that I associate with, and ideas come from discussions and the jams and the chai breaks we take. That's where the idea comes. So if you ask me how the schedule goes about a day, so the first thing we do is basically going for a chai break. That's the first thing. Like even before opening up the laptop, we go for a chai. We sit and talk about like what we have watched yesterday, or what did you read yesterday, and it could be related to design and the industry or the business, or it could be something very random like a movie you saw, etc. Then we go back and start the day. Then we have something called morning catch up. So this is something which we started doing at Dunzo itself. So we do a morning catch up, so that we have different departments in the team, but everyone is aware of like what's happening, so who's doing what and what are we are trying to achieve this month, etc. So we understand how the day looks like for everyone. So there itself, resource management, bandwidth alignment, all that boring stuff happens there. Then basically try to understand, okay, what are my highlights for the day, what are the interesting meetings that I have, what are the boring things I have. So we delegate and we discuss. Sometimes our 3D designer comes with the best copy lines, right? Sometimes our copy writer comes with the best illustration ideas, etc. So because of this morning catch up, then we go about the day. There will be business related things that we need to do. There are certain things we need to close, etc. for that day. Then evening, like late evening, we try to catch up one more time to understand where we are. Is there anybody need any help, etc. So this is a regular day basically.
I think that sounds really interesting, and also in terms of the normal people, right? The perception of brand,
Yeah.
it's building up in India, and people are the founders are recognizing the importance of that,
Yeah.
and it does not restrict itself from just the logo or the color.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has transcribed into everyday affair,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How people are perceiving your brand
Yeah.
totally depends on how you're putting it out.
Yeah.
And I think there are hundreds of different mediums which have
Yeah,
come out, right?
yeah.
So if you want to elaborate on the brand system,
Yeah.
and in today's state,
Yeah.
how has that evolved? And with the influencers coming in, a lot of things are happening, and
Yeah, yeah.
all the touch points of the brand should feel cohesive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If I look at the product, if I look at maybe a retail board of a brand, an advertisement, a performance marketing.
Yeah.
So how difficult, and but I'm pretty sure it's interesting as well,
Yeah.
to make sure that everything looks cohesive.
Yeah. So I think that's always been the case. Okay. But it's just that now we started recognizing it because everything started looking the same. Then there's a question about, because all the services, your app structure, the way icons are created, everything is becoming so close to each other. So then there is a question about, okay, what is the difference between this brand and that brand, or this product and that product, this service versus that? That's where the brand is becoming a differentiator. I think now people are realizing it. And brand is everything. Like, brand is not just a logo, it's not a color, uh, it's not an asset.
Yes.
Right? It's a feeling. Everything is brand. Your HR team, your finance team, your delivery partner, your product packaging, everything is brand.
Last mile delivery and
Yes,
things and
everything is brand. So the
Delight,
moment, yeah, even the SMS you are sending to
Correct.
your customer, your transactional email, that your bill that you're sending to your customer, everything is brand. It's just that now we started recognizing it and accepting that reality, right? Branding used to be an afterthought, not anymore. Right? People, because the price you need to pay to fix that later is so huge.
Yes.
So people are realizing that in the beginning itself.
In terms of AI coming in,
Yeah.
how what happened inside the teams and how was the reaction? I'm pretty sure people, some were early adopters, some were late, and but everyone is onto the wagon now. So how did you react, your team react to AI coming in? How you're using it right now in your team, in your day-to-day? I'm pretty sure that rep time would have definitely reduced, right?
Absolutely. So for some reason, I was never afraid of any new technology coming into this. At least, I don't know how others are seeing it. My perspective towards is that this is more of an asset generator for me, right? And I am a more of a memory creator, right? AI can help me generate assets, but I'm the one who is actually taking the final call. I'm the one who is curating it. I'm the one who is like controlling it. I still have the control over it, right? So I can just use this as a tool to reduce noise in my life. Right. But the thing is that if you're looking this from outside, it's very scary. It feels like, oh, this tool is going to come and take our job away. But have you, like, whomever has this feeling that, okay, AI is going to, oh, this is very easy now. What I usually suggest them is that you spend 1 hour with these tools. You think it's so easy, just sit with that tool for 1 hour and try to create something, and you give the same task to a designer also, then you understand the difference. This is not like a magic button you press and you suddenly start getting stuff. You will get assets, but that we are the people who are defining meaning for those assets.
Correct.
That's how we are different.
I think assets and brand assets are very entirely different world.
Creating an asset is different, creating a memory is different.
Correct. So in terms of the industry, like, you have worked very closely with product managers and product designers. So how, for our audience who may not know a lot of difference here, so what is the difference between someone who's working in the product team as a product designer or someone who's working in the brand team in terms of responsibilities that you think?
Right. The difference is that your goals, for example, in product design, there are metrics. It is more
flow driven, usability driven.
Your goals are different. Whereas in brand, it's memory, it's recall, it's a reach. In simple words, I would say, like, product is how you transact, how you touch and feel the product, that's how you get the task done.
Done.
And brand is the reason why you would come back to
Come
it,
back.
right? How you would remember this brand, etc. So that's like a meta level. That is the main
I think the
difference between,
storytelling still remains with the brand to
yeah,
a large extent.
yeah.
And
So, but at the same time, both needs to work towards the same goal,
yes,
which is building a great brand.
compounding of the. Also, like you've worked with the hyper growth startups like Dunzo, So how difficult is it for someone to grab your attention for that matter, right? If I am sure that hundreds of people apply
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
same time, right?
yeah.
So what is something unique that someone can do to grab attention?
It basically comes down to breaking the stereotype, right? If your portfolio is gonna look like all the other 1,000 portfolio, see, as a hiring manager, I get around 300, 400 profiles a day,
Yeah.
right? Even for hiring us junior visual designer, we get like 300, 400 profiles when we put up a LinkedIn post. So I really don't have time to
Time to
go
go through.
through each of your
So maybe someone is spending
projects.
just like 5 to 10 seconds on
Yeah,
one profile and you're able to grab attention, or
yeah.
you're lost.
Say it's a Behance portfolio.
Yeah.
Your thumbnails are the most important part, because I'm not gonna double click and check
It
each
will
of this
only
project.
entice me if the thumbnail is beautiful, right?
Yeah. So if you can't sell yourself to me, then
Yes.
how are you going to sell my brand,
Correct.
right? So that becomes very important. So that is one. Second, honesty in work, right? I feel like people try to use a lot of English. I see people try to use a lot of jargons, and people think that's what, like, getting our attention. It's not. Be, kiss, like, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
That's the core of it. And to be very honest, we really feel it. I mean, especially if the hiring managers has like more than, say, 5, 6 years of experience, I'm sure they would have seen all kinds of resumes, all kind of
Yeah.
jargons, all kinds
Yes.
of
Correct.
English and everything around it. But so when I see something very honest, that grabs my attention. And also, like, uh, just give me without me doing the effort to understand why I should hire you. You tell that to me, you sell that thing to me, why should I hire you? If you can answer that in the first line,
Yeah.
great. Right, so that's how you grab the attention of
Makes
an
sense.
HR person.
Totally. So in terms of also talking about performance marketing
Yeah.
now, so that's a big part of the
Yep, that's a
business.
bread and butter of any brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how has your experience been in that regard, and what are some of the unique things that you might have explored in this segment,
Yeah.
which really worked for Dunzo, for
Yeah,
example?
yeah. So one thing is that, initially, like, when you start focusing on brand, you get that confused with certain guidelines. Brand feels like a cage. Hey, this is my hex value, this is my tone of voice, this is my archetype, so I won't move from this to this. But brand needs to be so fluid,
Yes.
because your communication on social media is different from your communication on performance marketing,
Times are
right?
also changing, ever
Yeah.
evolving.
So
Correct.
you need to have like different games for different channels and platform, right? Don't you know force yourself to say, oh, okay, this is my brand guideline, so I have to talk like that for performance marketing, social media, everything needs to look this. That's not really
What it
the
is.
branding. That's you simply, like, that's a designer's pride. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Of course, it needs to feel like it's coming from the same family. I get it, but at the same time, you need to have different strategy for different. For example, Snapchat is very different from your Instagram. Instagram is
Yes.
very different from Facebook. So you need to have a core of your brand, but that needs to be different on different channels, and according to the situation also. Right. So figuring out that, and performance marketing is like product design. There is a specific goal there. Yeah,
You
your
keep on
seat.
monitoring,
Yeah,
doing
your CTR
testing,
becomes
A/B
like the
testing.
most important factor there. But at the same time, there is a, it needs to be a thumb stopper, right? And your attention span is going so low.
Low.
So grabbing your attention there becomes the
Right.
most important part, and that's a reality we all have to accept, right?
Yes.
At the same time, you have a business goal also there,
Yeah.
right? So I would say, treat performance marketing just like your splash screen or your home page or your checkout page, something like that. There's no time to do a storytelling there, but how to make it different. So my strategy when it comes to anything, not just performance marketing, anything is like, break the stereotype. If 95% of the things are going in, say, in certain trend and certain pattern, you try to break that. Yeah.
So onto the closing statement, would love to know your thought for young designers coming into the industry
Yeah.
that might not get a lot of structural help in the beginning, right? In terms of learning. So how should they, go about understanding and learning about the industry and what areas to focus on and how to approach these problems? Because what we are also trying to do through this course is that we're trying to build a program which is very outclass driven, which supports students by helping them learn by doing, instead of just telling them, this is what we want you to teach.
Yeah.
You should do it in this way.
Yeah.
This is a very different kind of method where we help them work with industry veterans like yourself and work inside industries or mini projects right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then have that flavor coming in their personality, and so that when someone comes to you, you don't have to spend 6 months to teach them how to work for you.
Yeah.
Right? I think
Yeah.
we have all been
Yeah.
through that journey as well. So what is the advice that you have for this young students?
Instead of being really good at just one thing, try to be average on a lot of things. That's what I usually tell them, because your one focus, your specific thing. Because I know designers who focused on one minute thing and they try to be the best at that, and there is this point where this technology or a plugin or something comes and takes their entire
I've seen it
career.
with animation.
Yes. So I always tell people that, try to be average at a lot of things. It could be 3D, it could be like, graphic design, product design, little bit of engineering, little bit of coding. Like, you try to be like average on a lot of things instead of just focusing on just one thing. That is one advice I can give. Second thing is that, so you really need to understand that your skill set is not certain tools. Your skill set, your actual value is the taste that you have.
Correct.
So you try to focus on taste, right? So how do you get this taste? It's not just design. You need to have good friends, you need to watch good movies, you need to read good
I think
books,
that's really, really
right? You need to go out and touch grass, and
you see all the apps that are there in the world.
That's where you
look at
get
what
all
is-
this inspiration from. It's not just some go to Behance feed or go to Pinterest and seeing good design. That's not the only source of inspiration. So you need to build your taste even in the early days, right? Listen to some good music
because you have more time with that.
Yeah. So I think that is more important. You need to nurture your actual talent, which is your taste. Softwares will come and go, technology will come and go, AI will become into something else, but your the core is your taste. So try to protect that, try to always nurture that, try to groom it and take that to the next level.
Also, you have a secret skill set that we want our audience to know. Your time with downtrodden's and
Yes.
the being part of a band.
Hmm.
How does that help you in a day-to-day life? And it's definitely a good nice part to spend time with your gang, and definitely I'm sure the people in the office would definitely want you to also give them surprises and help and invite them to your performances as well, right?
Yeah,
So
it's actually
how did that happen?
so music. I started music before even getting into photography, and I've been part of this band for more than 18 years now. So I don't see design and music like a two different thing. Process is almost the same, right? As in, like, you have an idea in your head, right? And you need to make that into something tangible.
Yeah.
That's what exactly you do with design, also music. Also, you have a riff in your head, you have a lyric in your head, or you have a concept in your head. You need to make that into some form so that the other brain, like the other person, can understand and feel it. Design also is exactly like that. But when it comes to my design, I'm not talking about design in general, I'm talking about the design that I do, because I work for a company, I work for a goal. Music for me doesn't have like a proper agenda, because we are not writing music for our fans. We are not writing music because we want to sell it or anything like that. It's a form of self-expression. But when it comes to the design that I do for First Club or Dunzo or any other company that I'm working with, it's not just about you. You need to sell something there. So there is an
Yes.
agenda, right?
Yeah.
So how much you would put yourself in there and how much you will consider this as like your thing is different. That's the only difference. But otherwise, it's all the same, right?
Thanks, Munz, for all your time. I think it will be really helpful for everyone listening to the podcast. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot again for
Thanks a
coming
lot.
out,
Thanks
and
a lot for the
it will
opportunity.
be really, really helpful for all the students to come and interact with you in the campus someday.
Yeah.
And when you are there to get all these learnings through some real examples,
Yeah.
and definitely would want to have you on the campus with us.
Absolutely, man. My pleasure.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much
you
for
for
the
joining us.
opportunity.